On a Monday morning, Robert Whitmore, the millionaire CEO of Whitmore Enterprises, was engrossed in his reports when a 5-year-old girl, Amy, entered his office. Dressed in an oversized cleaning uniform, her golden curls shimmering under the fluorescent lights, she held a spray bottle and a cloth. "Excuse me, sir. I'm here to work for my mom today. She's sick and in the hospital," she stated seriously. Her mother, Pamela, was a cleaner at the company, and Amy, fearing her mother might lose her job, had taken the bus alone, paying with coins from her piggy bank. "I know her job. She taught me," Amy added proudly. Robert, initially taken aback, saw a sincere determination in her eyes. This child was not here to joke. She wanted to protect her mother. "You came all by yourself?" he asked gently, standing up so as not to frighten her. Amy nodded, explaining that she recognized the building by its golden letters. "One day, I told Mom I wanted to be the CEO here. She laughed, but I was serious." Robert, touched by her courage, canceled his morning meetings, ignoring the puzzled looks from his assistant. He offered Amy an apple juice, and she sat by the window, her little legs swinging. Watching her gaze out at the city, he felt a strange connection. This little girl, with her fierce love for her mother, had entered his world of numbers and power with disarming humanity. Something within him awakened, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. Amy was not just a surprise. She was the beginning of something greater, a meeting that would change their lives forever. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Pamela Morgan, 24 years old, lay in a bed surrounded by beeping machines. Pale yet dignified, she bore the marks of a difficult life. Once a brilliant computer science student, she dreamed of Silicon Valley, but everything collapsed when she became pregnant. The man she loved abandoned her, and her rigid family disowned her when she chose to keep the child. Alone, Pamela juggled odd jobs, cleaning, waitressing, babysitting to survive, whispering every night to her unborn baby, "I will never abandon you." Amy was born on a stormy night, and that moment gave new meaning to her life. For 5 years, Pamela rebuilt her existence, piece by piece. Her job as a cleaner at Whitmore Tower, though modest, offered precious stability, fixed hours, and health insurance. For Pamela, this meant survival, a home for Amy, bedtime stories. She worked nights, meticulously cleaning each floor, her name unknown but her work impeccable. Exhausted, she often skipped meals so that Amy could eat her fill. That winter, a persistent cough worsened, and one morning, a chest pain knocked her down. Unable to get up, she saw Amy, worried, bringing her water before a neighbor called for help. At the hospital, doctors spoke of pneumonia, but Pamela wasn't listening. Her thoughts were on rent, groceries, and the fear of losing her job. What she didn't know was that at that moment, Amy, in her oversized uniform, was entering Robert Whitmore's office, determined to save her mother's job. In Robert's office, Amy, after finishing her apple juice, stood up seriously. "I have to start now," she said, explaining that her mother always began with the CEO's office to give him a good start. Robert, amused yet touched, watched her pull out a travel tissue and wipe down her desk with clumsy but careful gestures. Her technique was ineffective, but her intention was pure. "You are very dedicated, Amy," he commented. She smiled. "Mom says you should do things well, even if no one sees it." These words, with their simple wisdom, shook Robert, accustomed to a world of calculations and ambition. Then, disaster struck. While wiping a corner of the desk, Amy knocked over a glass of water near an important file. The glass shattered, water threatening the documents. "I'm sorry," she cried, terrified. Don't fire Mom. I just wanted to help. Her eyes filled with tears, her small body frozen in fear. Robert, without hesitation, grabbed towels to soak up the water, then knelt beside her. It's nothing, Amy. You were doing your best. That's what matters. He handed her a towel, reassuring her. You are the youngest employee I've ever had, and you're doing a great job. Amy's relief was palpable, her shoulders relaxing. She took her tissue back, carefully wiping up one last drop. Robert, watching her, felt a warmth he hadn't known in years. The next day, Robert couldn't concentrate on his numbers. The image of Amy, her courage and love for her mother, haunted him. He asked his assistant to locate the hospital where Pamela had been admitted. Would you like to send flowers? She asked. No, I want to visit her, he replied. Early in the afternoon, he stood in front of Pamela's room at St. Mary's Hospital. Through the glass, he saw her, pale yet dignified, her golden hair disheveled. He knocked softly. Pamela, surprised, tried to sit up. Mr. Whitmore? Her voice was weak, tinged with embarrassment. Don't get up, he said, sitting down near the bed. I'm sorry about Amy, she murmured, fearing reproach. But Robert shook his head. She did nothing wrong. She walked into my office as if she owned the place, with a cloth and a spray bottle. She wanted to save your job. Pamela moved, laughed softly, tears in her eyes. She's always so caring. I've talked too much about my job to her. Robert smiled. You taught her to love. A silence settled. Then he added, she told me you were the best mom in the world. I want to hear your story. Pamela, hesitant, recounted her past. Her dreams of a career in IT shattered by an unexpected pregnancy, the abandonment of the man she loved, her family's rejection. Alone, she rebuilt everything for Amy, accepting the job of a cleaner as a lifeline. Robert, impressed by her resilience, looked at her with unexpected tenderness. You think I'm reckless for letting her go alone, she murmured. No, he replied. You are the strongest person I've ever met. Those words broke Pamela, tears rolling down her cheeks. For the first time in years, someone saw her, not as a cleaner, but as a woman of courage. Back at work after 2 weeks, Pamela, still weakened, resumed her tasks with quiet determination. Robert, accustomed to a meticulously planned schedule, found himself altering his habits. He wandered through maintenance corridors, lingered near cleaned areas, pretending to conduct inspections. In reality, he was searching for Pamela. Their encounters were brief, a glance in a hallway, a nod as they passed. But each moment felt heavy. One morning, he saw her carrying a heavy bucket up the stairs. Without a word, he took it from her hands, ignoring her surprised expression. Mr. Whitmore, I can manage, she protested. I was going to check the air conditioning reports, he lied, climbing the steps. Pamela smiled. Of course. Their eyes met, a spark of warmth passing between them. The next afternoon, Pamela found a clean towel on her cart, with a note. Don't forget to wipe your forehead. Some notice your efforts. Air. She pressed the towel against her chest, touched by this simple gesture. It was the first time someone had offered her such sincere attention, without expectations. Their interactions remained discreet, but every glance, every smile seemed laden with meaning. One night, as Pamela was cleaning the executive hallway, Robert stepped out of his office. Their eyes met, a suspended moment where neither moved. A gentle, almost tangible tension floated between them. Pamela, flustered, looked down, murmuring, "Good evening, sir." Robert watched her walk away, his heart racing. In the supply closet, Pamela, leaning against the shelves, pressed the towel against her chest, holding back a smile. Just as a budding tenderness settled in, Pamela's past resurfaced in the form of Daniel Carter, Amy's father, whom she hadn't seen in 5 years. He approached her in the lobby of Whitmore Tower, his charming smile intact. "I heard you were working here," he said, adding with an insinuation, "and that the CEO has a soft spot for his cleaning lady." Pamela, frozen, realized he wasn't there for Amy, but to exploit the situation. "I want a second chance to be in Amy's life," he claimed. "You want money," she retorted, trembling with anger. Daniel shrugged. "If rumors about your relationship with Whitmore spread, your job could be at risk." Pamela left, shaken. But the whispers began. The cleaning lady and the CEO? He's canceling meetings for her. In Robert's world, where every rumor could affect millions, the board convened an emergency meeting. "You are compromising your objectivity," one member stated. "She is a liability," another added. "If she stays, we risk damage to our reputation." Robert, impassive, listened before standing up. "If Pamela is targeted because of me, I will be the first to leave," he declared, his voice firm. "She is not a liability. She is a mother, a hard worker, and the woman I love." Silence filled the room. "I will not tolerate cruelty disguised as corporate politics." No one dared to challenge him. When he found Pamela in the supply closet, ready to leave, she whispered, tears in her eyes, "I don't want to be the reason you lose everything." Robert took her hands. "You are not the reason. You are my anchor." For the first time, Pamela believed in his sincerity, her heart opening to the possibility of a future together. Robert knew that Daniel posed a persistent threat. Discreetly, he hired a family law attorney, renowned for protecting single mothers. Together, they built a solid case. Pamela's years of single parenting, her jobs, Amy's school, and medical records, proving a mother who had raised her child with dignity despite abandonment. At a preliminary hearing, Daniel, arrogant, lost his confidence upon seeing the legal team and Robert at the back of the room, his gaze unwavering. 3 days later, he withdrew his custody request and vanished. With this battle behind them, Robert focused on Pamela's future. In a conversation, she had mentioned her past love for computers. He created a position for her as a technical advisor for digital transformation at Whitmore Enterprises. "I haven't touched code in years," she protested. "Start here," he replied. "We need someone who understands the human side of technology." He provided her with a computer, online courses, and mentorship with the IT team. On her first day in this role, Pamela, in a navy blue blouse, radiated newfound confidence. Unlike the degree-holding programmers, she asked unique questions, caring about the impacts on the night staff, the forgotten departments, her former colleagues. Within a month, she designed an interface that simplified the maintenance software, cutting response times in half. Employees began to consult her, not for supplies, but for her ideas. Amy, on the other hand, was thriving, running through the hall after school, handing drawings to Robert, climbing onto his shoulders at lunchtime. Over the months, the relationship between Pamela, Robert, and Amy blossomed gently. Their shared moments, dinners, weekend walks, were simple yet profound. Pamela would stay late to work on prototypes, and Robert would bring her coffee, just the way she liked it. Amy, initially reserved, began to call Robert Mr. Robert, then Robert, and one evening, without thinking, Daddy. Pamela froze, but the tears in Robert's eyes spoke volumes. "It would be an honor," he murmured. There were no grand gestures, just a natural connection woven through everyday moments. Laughter in the hallway, shared coffee, Amy playing in Robert's office. Slowly, they became a family. A year later, Pamela stood on stage at a tech conference, presenting a task management system she had led from start to finish. The audience, made up of professionals and journalists, applauded her work, designed for everyone from executives to janitors. Her hands trembled, not from fear but from pride. The next day's headlines called her a visionary from the household, but Pamela only paid attention to Robert's expression backstage. "You did it," he said, hugging her. "No, we did it," she replied, smiling. Amy ran to them, shouting, "Mom, you're amazing." They laughed, a moment of pure joy. Spring had arrived, bringing a new sweetness to their lives. Saturday mornings had become a ritual: picnics, laughter, simple moments. One day, Robert invited Pamela and Amy to a picnic in a park. Pamela expected sandwiches and sunshine, but under an oak tree, after unpacking lunch, Robert pulled out a small velvet box. Without kneeling, he took her hand and opened it, revealing a gold ring with a sapphire. "I don't need cameras or a grand ceremony," he said softly. "Just you and Amy. This life we've started. Will you marry me?" Pamela, tears in her eyes, nodded, unable to speak. Amy, who was chasing butterflies, saw the box and ran towards them. "Mom, are you crying?" she asked. "Tears of joy," Pamela replied, laughing. Robert pulled Amy between them. "What do you think, sweetheart? Shall we make it official?" Amy, beaming, took their hands. "Yes." Then, serious, she added, "Mom says superheroes don't wear capes, but Mr. Robert, he's ours, right?" Pamela looked at Robert, moved. "He always has been." Robert, tears in his eyes, whispered, "I love you both more than anything I've built or dreamed of." That evening, on the balcony of their apartment, Robert watched the city sparkle while Pamela helped Amy with a puzzle, their laughter filling the air. A deep peace washed over him. This little girl in oversized uniform had brought into his life not just a story, but a family, a meaning he had never sought but now cherished. A year after this proposal, Pamela, Robert, and Amy formed a united family, their lives woven with simple yet meaningful moments. Pamela continued to shine at Whitmore Enterprises, her work in IT transforming the company with a unique human perspective. Employees respected her, no longer as a cleaner, but as an innovator. Amy, now in elementary school, brightened the company's hallways every afternoon, her colorful drawings adorning Robert's desk. Their home, a warm apartment, was filled with laughter, puzzles, and shared projects. The headlines had stopped referring to Pamela as a success story. She was simply Pamela, a woman who had overcome adversity to build a meaningful life. Robert, once defined by his title, had found in this family an anchor, a reason to exist beyond the numbers. One day, while they were sharing coffee in the company cafe, Amy ran towards them, brandishing a drawing of the three of them under an oak tree. "It's us, together," she said proudly. Pamela and Robert exchanged a glance, their love silent yet palpable. That evening, Robert spoke at a corporate gala, thanking Pamela for bringing humanity into their work. "A little girl came into my office a year ago," he said, his voice emotional. "She didn't just give me a family. She reminded me of what really matters." Pamela, in the crowd, held Amy's hand, tears of joy in her eyes. Their story was not a fairy tale, but proof that love, resilience, and kindness could transform lives. On their way home, Amy whispered, "Can we go home together now?" Robert smiled, "Always." Their home, built on the courage of a child and the strength of a mother, had become their greatest victory.